Hello, and welcome to another episode of My 02cent. My name is Paul Emerson, and I'll be giving you my 2 cent. I want to weigh in on something when it comes to the emotions, the emotions between males and females, boys and girls, men and women. Emotions for men and boys are a weakness. That doesn't mean that men and males shouldn't have emotions, but it is definitely, in fact, a weakness. A functional adult man cannot be functional if they cannot govern their emotions. This is the reason why society uses this word emotional intelligence. There's no condition where you can associate intelligence with emotions. They're two different dynamics, right? A man can see, if you're walking through the woods with a woman, the instinct of a man, if a predator jumps out and attacks you too, is to stand between the threat and the woman. That is our natural inkling in nature. It's so natural, in fact, that we expect it of each other, right? When men are confronted with a threat and a danger, our first response is to figure out what the threat is and to figure out how to counter that threat as fast as possible while not dying in the process, or to come to some understanding that this threat is so overwhelming that I have to flee. And then that's when we give into our emotions, right? So that is the fundamental understanding of who we are as beings on this planet. The conflict is not telling men not to have emotions. That's not the conflict. The conflict is a lack of society's desire to teach women to govern their emotions. Girls are allowed to operate without any emotional integrity. They don't have to, and they are not expected to control their emotions, to learn to live with a healthy understanding of who they are and how they feel, and how to make decisions in spite of how they feel. That's where men and women differ. It's perfectly okay for a woman in society to get upset and throw a fit and behave in a way that we call being a woman, contrast against a man behaving in that same way. If a man gets upset and gets angry and is offended and is disrespected, he's expected to maintain his civilized demeanor. But when a woman does it, she's okay to lose her civilized demeanor, and then when she calms down later, everyone acts like it's just normal and okay. Hello. So that's where they differ. As a man, you need to be in control of your emotions. You need to be able to have that strength and resolve and constitution to be able to be in an emotionally bad place and still be able to perform. Yeah, go ahead, you can ask the question. And still be able to perform as expected. Waiting for your question. Hello. I've never been to Turkey. I've been to Nigeria and Indonesia, but never Turkey. I might have landed in Turkey once, flying to Nigeria. I've been to a lot of countries where I've just was in the airport, but I was still in the country. I've been to Paris. I've been to Germany. I think I might have been. No, I don't think I've been to Paris, Germany. I think Paris and Germany are the two main ones. There's some Middle Eastern country that always pronounce it correctly. So I gotta go. So, question. Do you think it is a tactical advantage in life? A tactical advantage in life to be in control of your emotions? Absolutely. Absolutely, 100% absolutely. It's the only way to function. The main reason why women and girls are able to manipulate men into terrible relationships is twofold. The most important reason is because it's normalized, right? It's perfectly normal for a female to behave in a way that we know is out of alignment with being a decent person and not be checked for it. Because as soon as you check or confront a female, everyone's going to be mad at you. Like, why are you tripping? Why aren't you, being more emotionally intelligent? It's like, yeah, but she's saying things that is not what she's saying to me is not appropriate for me to say to her, right? But we're supposed to be equal, right? So if you're in an emotionally stable space, you're able to make rational decisions. And that space of being rational, I would have voted for Kamala, not because I think that she's a better candidate, but because I am anti-institutional racism. I would have never put a racist president in the office. He's racist. Why would I vote for racism? My whole channel is about anti-racism. So why would I vote for somebody that I know is racist and I understand the way the political system is structured? The biggest problem that the average person don't understand globally is that there's the idea of whites and there's the idea of non-whites in society. But what people don't understand is that when you're listening to Caucasians speak on TV, especially as Americans, when you're listening to Caucasians speak and they're saying, we need to do this, and we need to do that, and this needs to happen, they're not talking about Americans. They're talking about whites. They're either talking about whites or they're talking about non-whites. And that's the key of it. When you see Elon Musk talking, he's talking to his base. And his base are the wealthy white Americans whose wealth was the direct result of a history of slavery. When you hear Donald Trump say, let's make America great again, that's what he's talking about. He's talking about when Europe was exploiting the world. It doesn't even have to be about just black people in general. It's about the idea that Europeans traveled out in the world, colonized, and took over everything and had an abundance of wealth for it. Because right now in 2024, and this is the reason why I've made such a dynamic shift with my platform, we are still living and being governed as if resources are finite. There was a time when there wasn't enough. There was a time when you couldn't put enough farmers on the land to produce enough food for a certain number of people. It was understood that there was a cap, that there was a certain amount of people that could exist and be taken care of and be provided for based on the limitations of the human condition in general. Before automation, before machines, before computers and all that stuff, it was understood. The Industrial Revolution brought the ability to produce goods and services, but there were no computers. There was no automation. There was no artificial intelligence. Even though you might be able to produce enough products and goods and services, we as humans lack the capacity to be able to even distribute the food in any way that would be functional enough to make it worth doing so that everybody could have. So even in that, there was still a limitation, right? So as computers become more super fast and are more able to be used as tools of accuracy and effectiveness, we're moving more and more and more into an age of abundance. And what's happening is the ultra rich are not rich anymore because their money was always about influence and power and control. But we don't need them. We literally don't need them. If we 100% automated all of food production on the earth, right? Why would we need to pay for food? All of the companies that are investing in paying for food would lose that market. What would they do? How would they earn a living? They're not smart enough to realize that most of your expense comes from the fact that we pay for food. So even though you might lose your job if all food was free, the lack of a need for humans to be invested in going out and getting resources for food would reduce the amount of time we need to spend laboring to get money as compensation, but it would provide more freedom without negatively affecting the quality of our lives. Because you can make everything more accessible. So not everything's more accessible. You don't need the extra level of chaos. So now food is free. You can't work that job to do that anymore. But the amount of money you need to survive has been exponentially reduced in the process. But again, society goes out of its way to justify a need for excessive amounts of labor. But I'm digressing. The whole point of this video was to say that yes, it is absolutely necessary for you as a man to sit down, shut the fuck up, quit crying, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and move forward in life. However, and this is the point of my 2 cents, don't pretend like things that are in your way are not in your way. Don't pretend like the issues that are causing you to be in pain don't exist. If you're sad, you don't get to be sad. But you can address your sadness, and you have the strength and the power to overcome whatever that is. If that means choking somebody, I don't condone killing, but if you gotta choke a person to get them out your way so you can stop being sad because you're a man, that's why you're not allowed to have emotions. Because you have that strength and that power to do what you gotta do to govern yourself and carve out a piece of this reality for you. Civilization is based on the premise that we will agree to get along. And we've got too many people with too much control forcing us to do shit instead of being civilized. That's why I have to live in this damn car, because there's more than enough houses. But even though I'm a functional human being, this is where I have to be as punishment for deviating from their system that I never agreed to. I didn't agree to all that shit. So now I got to pay all this unnecessary extra money just to be able to function like everybody else as a punishment for not being able to function in a racist ass system. Like, really think about that. Really kind of contemplate that. Like, you can see the quality of life of Caucasians that aren't even doing any fucking thing. They don't have to work 7 fucking days a week to be able to just be functional on the street homeless. That's the dynamic difference between having to be an African American and a Caucasian. How do you just chill every fucking day and don't have to labor? I'm not just in my car homeless. I'm in my car homeless having to sustain a 7-day work week just to be able to make it every day. And if I don't make it every day, that means that I'm going to get hungry and I'm going to go steal food, and then they're going to throw me in prison, and no one's going to care. No one's going to be like, well, he was doing his best. He was trying his hardest. No one's going to care. And all of this is built on a foundation of me trying to be a husband and a father. The adversity of me as a man trying to do something as simple as become a husband and a father has resulted to me being 42 homeless in my car. Not whining and complaining and bitching and moaning, because it's not going to get me any fucking where. Making good sound decisions is what does it. And the problem is that when you make good sound decisions and you are subjected to racism, you don't get very far. And that is the reason why I started my 2 cents. Women, the problem isn't that men shouldn't have emotions. The problem is that women should be being governed so that they can be in better control of their emotions. Because they should be allowed to express themselves emotionally, because they don't have the strength to defend themselves in every condition. So sometimes they should be allowed to break down in tears because they're simply not strong enough in every condition and in every situation. Whereas you as a man need to rise up to the fucking challenge. It's just that simple. And as always, my name is Paul Emerson. I've given you my 2 cents.